Hello, and thank you for joining us today for our webinar, Inspire Ready to Spend Tax Refund Recipients During a Tumultuous Political Ad Season. My name is Caprice Crawford, and I am the Education Manager here at the Home Furnishings Association, and I'll be your moderator for today's webinar. Now, before we get started, I would like to go over the basics for today's session. Now, this webinar will be recorded and all attendees will receive a follow-up email by this time tomorrow on how to access the recording. Now, as you heard when you joined, you are in listen-only mode. This means that all attendees except me and our speaker are muted. Although we can't hear you, we do encourage you to ask questions throughout the presentation using the chat box you see on your webinar control panel. This control panel usually pops up on the right-hand side of your screen when you joined. Now, only organizers can see your questions, so I will be monitoring them as the webinar progresses, and our speaker will address all questions at the end of the presentation. Now, it is our pleasure to have Chip West, the Vertical Marketing Director for Velasys, a leader in intelligent media delivery. West leads the home furnishings category, delivering marketing insights and strategy for Velasys furniture clients. Together with his team, they help retailers identify, connect, and target high opportunity consumers with integrated media solutions. Chip, thank you for being here. Are you ready to get started?
Sure. Thank you so much, Caprice, and welcome everyone. So, just to start off, I'd like to mention a quick couple of points about my company, Velasys. Simply put, with our massive marketing technology that leverages both online and offline data in conjunction with a wide variety of omnichannel media solutions that we have, we inspire consumers to act. So, for nearly 50 years, we've helped thousands of national, regional, and local advertisers across a wide range of industries activate consumers, including hundreds of home furnishing retailers. So, to identify and target your best opportunity consumers, we know it's important to have a more complete view of the consumer, and that requires a lot of comprehensive data. We have access to industry leading third party and proprietary data because single source data isn't enough anymore, even when it's shopper or buyer data. You need visibility to consumers' devices and daily buying signals so that you can understand what they look like and where they are during the day and how they act during the day. You need accurate consumer addresses to ensure your message is reaching your audience, and insight into promotion sensitivity to manage those offers and messages. So quickly, some of the data that Velasys has to better understand and connect with consumers, we look at 110 billion daily signals derived from online browsing behavior, which includes in-market signals for categories like furniture over the past 7 days, as well as interest over time, which is really looking past the last year. 33 billion daily trips, we collect real-world store visit insights based on 33 billion observed location points every day. Predictive visitation scores are built on real-world retailer visits, proximity to the retailer location, and with our proprietary predictive modeling, this data helps us understand the places consumers go and improves our targeting capabilities. We also have access and look at data for 120 million plus households across the country. We tie devices and associated behavioral data to over 120 million households in the country for accurate multi-channel targeting. So today, while I will not be talking about specific Velasys solutions, I will, however, call out general strategies that you all should consider to do two things that we're going to look at. One, how you could capture a piece of a very substantial intended consumer tax refund spend earmarked for home furnishings. And two, understand with the upcoming political season that's ramping up, and to a lesser extent the Summer Olympics, your TV ad impressions may be at risk, and you need to think about alternative media solutions for effectively reaching furniture shoppers. So, just a quick look at what I'm going to talk about today, really quickly. As Caprice knows, I initially like to talk about some really high level industry trends that you may or may not know about and how that actually plays into what I'm going to discuss today about tax refund opportunities, specifically with home furnishings, and then getting into a little bit about political ad spending and the impact potentially it would have for you as a TV advertiser. So, following the recession, furniture category sales have increased every single year. In 2019, sales for the industry were up nearly 3% to almost $115 billion. There are many projections out there on how the category will fare this year, and most of them that I've seen are pretty positive. Furniture Today, a pretty well known and respected source, forecasts a 4.4% increase for 2020 to almost $120 billion for the category. Their rationale stems from favorable economic and housing data. Included in this data calls out steadiness in GDP and consumer pricing, continued low unemployment, disposable income growth that's happening throughout the country, better housing numbers nationally. And we all know that housing is very, very localized. So some markets might experience a different result than other markets. But as a whole, nationally, the housing numbers are up. And then with those housing numbers, really low mortgage rates remain out there. So again, metrics supporting a pretty good year for the category for 2020. So let's talk about furniture subcategories or segments that make up that close to $115 billion spend last year. So if we peel back the onion, we could see that most important product groups representing the greatest percentage of sales for furniture were bedding and stationary sofas. Both of these segments represented approximately 16% of all overall furniture sales and just about $17 billion each. So they're big categories. While these subcategories were tops, master bedroom furniture, formal dining room furniture, and entertainment furniture were next as far as the percentage of overall sales. So why is this important information? It's just a data point to ask yourself if your sales are similar, and if not, maybe consider offering more product and space to these top category segments that really drive the furniture category as a whole. Another industry trend I wanted to mention quickly was furniture distribution channels. Where are consumers buying furniture and bedding? If you are a traditional furniture store yourself, you can feel pretty good that you represent 35% of all category sales, and that percentage has held steady for a number of years. Online sales that we all hear about, and in this case, when I say online sales, we mean sales from online pure play e-commerce players, not retailers, physical retailers that sell online as well, but this is just online. They represent 14%, or now I hear close to 18% of all sales. Lifestyle stores that are out there like IKEA, they have an 8% of the pie. Manufacturer branded stores like Ashley also represent 8% of the total pie, and so on and so on. This particular chart does a really good job depicting the various channels that are out there and all the competition there is for that furniture spend. And now, here's some grounding I like to mention regarding furniture store ad spending. So if you want to take a look at your ad spend and compare it to the industry, this data was released back in November, showing that the average ad to sales for furniture stores is rising. It's now about 10%. A past performance report by Furniture Today actually had the overall ad to sales percentage at 6% back in 2018. So ad spending appears to be on the uptick. TV spending used to represent the largest share of ad spending for the category. And truthfully, I personally question the figure that's listed here because TV spend is still very significant. But it's sure to be a segment that's going to be questioned in the minds of a lot of retailers as far as the ability to pay for viewership that could be declining, fragmented, of course, and a lot of cord cutters and a lot of folks that stream are affecting that as well. So there are a lot of different reasons to take a look at print and digital sources of media ad spend, because if you take a look at this now, Importantly to note, the digital and print sources of media spend both remain steady and both represent a combined 62% of total ad spend. Okay, so since we're in the midst of it, let's move on to what I think is really important topic. That's tax return season and the opportunity it represents to retailers, specifically home furnishing retailers. So, just talking about the economy is doing well. Folks are working. Many of us are filing our taxes with the expectation of getting back refunds. And you will see many consumers have plans to spend those refunds, and some of those plans include spending on home furnishings, which is a good thing. For many Americans, tax season means receiving that refund. Those refunds are perceived as bonuses or found cash by a large number of filers out there. And that kind of bonus and that kind of cash could be a really significant boon to retailers. According to statistics posted by the IRS that I really dug through mid-May last year, 72% of filers, or an estimated 102 million out of 142 million, received a tax refund. With the average refund last year a bit over $2,700, an estimated 277 billion was returned to consumers, many of them who were ready to spend. So let's talk about that opportunity. So last year, Velasas, my company, teamed with Google surveys to inquire consumers about their intent for tax returns and what they wanted to spend on or if they wanted to spend. The results of that survey showed that many U.S. consumers were expecting to receive a tax refund, and retailers were really happy as more than 1 in 5 of those consumers planned to spend the majority or all of their amount that they were getting back. 20% of tax refund recipients showed indecisiveness. They really didn't know what they were going to do with their refund. And that indecisiveness is actually a good thing for retailers as well, because advertisers have an opportunity, a terrific opportunity, to identify and connect with those return recipients and inspire them to purchase something. So in fact, a recent survey showed that more than 2/3 of consumers, they actually made an unplanned purchase after being motivated by an offer, a discount, or a coupon. So again, big opportunity. It's significant. So what did exactly consumers say they were going to do with their refunds? By far and away, paying down debt and paying bills were the most popular intents among refund recipients. Almost half said that they would do that. Consumers, however, did identify a number of retail categories they were planning to spend in. 15% planned to spend their refunds on home furnishings or for home improvements. 12% said that they would use refund money to put towards a vacation or an experience. This was followed by a lesser percentage in earmarking dollars for other material items such as clothing or consumer electronics. Still others wanted to use money to help with a car purchase or a repair. All these defined intent signals indicated tremendous opportunity for advertisers. And the opportunity is to inspire purchases from many shoppers out there who are receiving those small windfalls of cash. What's important to call out is that, I'm going to mention this a number of times, is that offers, promotions, and deals motivate and influence consumers. So whether a consumer already is planning to spend dollars in the home furnishing category, or if that consumer is actually pretty unsure what they would do with their tax refund, you guys have an opportunity, you as retailers, to inspire and motivate to try to sway that shopper out there to buy in your category and at your location. So what does this mean for you potentially? So I wanted to take a look at a local market example. And we could actually take a look at every market out there and look at the data, but I just picked Atlanta. So using the results of our Velasas research study with Google surveys, this is going to be a great illustration of the opportunity. If you guys are doing business in Atlanta, it's even going to hit home even more. So data points out there point to $159 million of tax return dollars in Atlanta that last year was planned to be spent on home furnishings or home improvement. So how did we get to that figure? So here's some directional data. Here's how we got to that illustration. So in Atlanta, there were nearly 6 million folks in population in that market. Nationally, we know, according to the IRS, about 31% of our population as a whole received refunds. 21% of recipients indicated they plan to spend the majority or all of that refund. That equates to an estimated 388,000 in the Atlanta market. 15% of this group plan to spend, based on our last slide, on home furnishings or home improvement. That's 58,000. Spending $2,700, you could see how that equates to $159 million total opportunity. So you as a retailer, if you were just to capture that 1% of that intent that's out there to spend in the home furnishings category, that equates to $1.6 million. So again, very pretty cool illustration how there's a really big opportunity in not only this market, but as you can see when we look into other markets, the same type of an approach and information would exist. So let's take a look at timing now. So advertising timing is crucial to motivate your best opportunity audience. When do filers actually receive their refunds? Again, based on some information I dug into with the IRS, greater than 90% of filers, they file online, and 90% will get their refund back in a 21-day period or less. So as you can see here, literally 1 in 5 will get their refunds in February based on when folks filed, 28% in March, and a lesser extent in April and May. So it's not just about looking at the dates when consumers will get those refunds in their hands. For you as an advertiser, it's important to establish message frequency in the weeks leading up to when somebody gets their refund. So it's critical to understand the path to purchase journey for those key categories like furniture and mattress, where consumers are showing high intent to planning to use their refund dollars to purchase. The path to purchase journey is elongated for many considered purchases, meaning research and information gathering with consumers really begins early. So here's some new data to the left of this chart that shows, and this data is from Synchrony Financial, basically shows that for furniture, the average path to purchase from research to actual purchase is 74 days now. For mattress, it's 100 days. It's a very long time. Advertisers really have an opportunity to get in front of the times when folks are receiving their tax returns and get their message across to folks. So again, frequent messaging important long before tax returns are received. So we touched on previously the importance of motivating those shoppers with offers, deals, and promotions. I would like to focus in on that point a little bit more. As we said, the path to purchase for furniture and mattress is long, typically 2 to 3 months. So what's the result? What is the result of this? You must notice this. More research is being done by consumers, and when they walk into a furniture store, they walk in more decisive, they've done their homework, and they're more ready to buy. In fact, industry statistics show that furniture store traffic as an industry happens to be down. Traffic is down because consumers are actually considering fewer stores. So as you can see here, the stat, 84% of furniture shoppers now only shop 3 or fewer stores. So less traffic because folks are shopping fewer stores. However, the interesting thing is that close rates for the industry have gone up. So traffic's down. Just a few years ago, the close rate average for the industry was 25%. Now it's 36%. So better than a third of folks that walk into a furniture store are going to buy something. And that's an industry average. So again, it's all about trying to motivate and trying to capture, and you as a retailer, it's trying to get your business in that limited consideration set of 3 or fewer stores. And how do you do that? Again, consumers say that offers, deals, and promotions are really important when they select a furniture retailer. And Not a lot of loyalty today. Loyalty has dropped off where 80% feel a good deal trumps buying anything from a specific furniture retailer. So they're always looking for deals. So what we know that offers and deals and promotions are important, but what media has the greatest share of influence on those planning to buy? And this is really important. So we looked at media spend, but when we ask consumers what's influencing, what type of media influences your purchases, according to Prosper Insights and Analytics that you guys might have heard of, they were called Big Research a number of years ago, and they absolutely do a lot of surveys with consumers about their media interaction and what influences their purchase, among other questions. But digital and print media clearly have the greatest share of influence on those planning to purchase furniture. A significant share. So if you guys add 40% digital, 30% print, 70% share of influence, those two medias alone. And again, it's important when we talk about omni-channel and multi-channel approaches, those two media together, after seeing an ad in both print and online, 6 in 10 furniture consumers are more likely to make a purchase, and they're more motivated to shop at a new store or a website that they didn't consider previously. So I think this really is a point that I wanted to make sure that everyone understood about the media influence. So what makes sense regarding a media strategy to inspire those tax refund recipients based on the slide I just showed you? So home furnishing retailers should really consider a strategy that reflects that true omnichannel approach, containing an always-on digital component, if you could, and incorporating an increase in print frequency during those peak times of refunds that we just talked about. So really looking at anywhere between January and May. So those are the times when people are getting their refunds. They start getting them back in February. When they get their refunds, they're going to be looking to say, what am I going to spend on? If I plan on spending on furniture, where am I going to spend it? And those offers, deals, and promotions that you all put out, especially in a print and in a digital source, are really going to be impactful. So if you were to consider a multi-channel approach to connect with expected tax return recipients, what might that media plan look like? And here's just an example. You may consider leveraging that influential media that we talked about, that print and digital approach, the always-on digital. If you have a digital strategy that's always going to be on, meaning if you're targeting in-market furniture shoppers, you never know when they're going to be in market. So if you have a way to target them, like our company does, you certainly want to look at that as a digital component to what you're trying to put together as far as a media plan. And then just complement that or fortify that with a print component. And here, a good frequency, as you can see, leading up to big times in March, April, and May. You have 2 times, maybe 3 times a month in February based on where President's Day falls, and obviously in May where Memorial Day falls. So you combine those 2 big buying periods and sales periods for the industry with when folks are getting their refunds back. This really shows a lot of opportunity as far as timing. All right, so let's tie in what we just talked about and get into political ad spending and the potential impact that it could have on you as a TV advertiser. So it just makes sense that if we talk about promotions, deals, and offers and how they motivate and inspire furniture consumers, and you as a retailer are not utilizing those promotions, offers, and deals all that much, you're missing opportunity, right? So furthermore, as the upcoming political ad spending season starts to heat up, and if you rely heavily on spot TV ads, you might be at risk of losing ad impressions as the year goes on. And we're going to get into that. So let's talk about why. So here's a question I'll throw out there, and I'm not going to ask anybody to raise their hand or anything, but the question is, on average, true or false, 50% of spot TV ads get bumped in favor of political ads during peak political spending dates. And the answer, of course, is true. That's a lot of ads that get bumped. And if you're a big player, meaning a lot of your media spend is spot TV, you've really got to start thinking about, hey, am I going to be at risk? Are my impressions that I want to get out there to talk to my potential audience, are they going to be at risk? And what should I do? So let's dig deeper into the estimates surrounding political ad spending for this year. So, okay, let's face it, if you all watched the President's State of the Union last night, you know this. I mean, we are definitely divided politically as a country, and this year will be unprecedented as far as political ad spending is concerned. I think we all agree the months leading up to national and local elections, especially in some key battleground states, will be wild. I mean, there is no other word to describe it. It's going to be wild. $10 billion is forecast to be spent in political ads. That's 60% increase versus the last presidential election in 2016. Nearly half, this is big, nearly half of local TV news ad spots will be filled by political messages. Advertisers, like many of you out there, must look, you absolutely must look for alternatives to reach your audience, or else you might be losing the opportunity to talk to your best opportunities. And again, if you're not connecting with shoppers that are in market and at the time when they're in market, you could be losing an opportunity to get your business in that limited selection of 3 stores that they're considering. So another interesting thing to consider that streaming platforms are expected to see much greater spending activity this election season as well. And the reason is that they target younger consumers, and it's a way to not get bumped. And that's really to target younger consumers, not only important for a lot of retail businesses, especially in home furnishings, but for politicians alike. So, what specifically will happen? How will this political TV ad spending season impact many of you as TV buyers? 3 things are expected to occur. So, one, there's going to be limited inventory out there and increased cost per point. So, really, advertisers as a whole, they're going to be paying more for premium TV ad spots during the time frame when a lot of these political ads are starting to ramp up. And you're going to be competing with other retailers as kind of like a bidding war. So again, limited inventory, increased cost per point. The second thing that's going to happen, no doubt, is loss of impressions. Because of those bumped ads, you're going to lose impressions, lose the opportunity to speak to your desired audience. And then 3, a rise in ad spending during those key times is going to happen. I mean, so a lot of advertisers are going to say, I need to spend more. What should I spend more on? How can I make up for that lost opportunity? So here's an illustration of how the rise in political ad spending at the end of July through November affected advertisers in 2016. The impact of political advertisers' rising tide hit across all categories. Retail, which is a very high spending category, also saw a decline in fewer TV ads during the weeks right before the election up to the election. Specifically, the number of overall brands advertising on local TV fell about 11% from the beginning to the end of the campaign season, even as the number of ads those brands ran fell by 26%. This trend kind of indicates that advertisers are trying to at least maintain some of the presence of their brands, although they're no longer able to run as many ads because of all the bumping that happens during that time. So what does this mean for advertisers? Again, higher cost per point, bumped ad spots due to political ads, getting priority during this time period, and more ad skipping from viewers. So I don't know if you're like me, you're really going to get tired of those political ads. And a lot of ads will just be skipped, more ads than usual. So things to consider, all categories, including home furnishings, will experience a reduced share of ad time during key political campaign weeks. All brands, especially those with already low share of ad time, should consider looking at alternative media to reach their consumers. And the time is now to plan to maintain your share of voice and spark action with integrated media strategies that we talked about. So historically, furniture category media spending, and this chart is just going to show you a year's worth of total ad spending for furniture category. So historically, there are spikes in the fall. And that box, what I outlined looks at the political ad season. So there are spikes in media spending. So it's really going to affect the spend, meaning where political ads are going to kind of overtake a certain time frame. This particular category, our category for home furnishings, will be impacted. And again, the box outlines uh, the typical media spikes that happen for the furniture category in the fall. And just a quick point on direct mail. I mentioned print before. Direct mail doesn't get bumped. It won't get bumped. So you just might want to consider this particular strategy. In fact, as we show here, this is Velasas direct mail package category content dates, high the first, I guess, 10 to 12 dates, highest ranking dates for furniture content through last year. And what you can see here, the light blue boxes to the left, outlining when political ads will impact some of those key spending dates and content for the category. And then we can take a look at the dark box for the Olympics, which is really only 1 week for that meshes up with the category. So again, this is just to point out that if you're considering an alternative, and we talked about the influence of print, direct mail might be a great alternative. It doesn't get bumped. So these are the battleground states. Local retailers and regional brands within these markets and states should have really a heightened focus on planning to increase their spending in print and digital channels during that key 3 month time period. Again, end of July to the election. Planning August to October alternative media to broadcast local spot in Q3 and Q4 should be part of the planning process for 2020. So, in the states like Florida, Iowa, Nevada, North Carolina, and Pennsylvania, during that July through October time period, they are expected at some point during that time to see half or more of all ads shown in those markets to be political in nature. I mean, think about that, half or more. I mean, to me, that would really speak to saying, wow, how am I going to make up those impressions that I thought I was going to have with my TV ad spend? And what can I do to connect with those consumers? So remember, if you're a TV advertiser, be prepared for what's coming and consider alternative media. Consider the media that's most influential on those planning to buy furniture. As we showed here and we showed before, that's digital and print. And please consider a targeted omnichannel approach, incorporating both those influential media, right? So it's incorporating digital, it's incorporating print, because really that's going to impact consumers say that influences their purchases, especially on those planning to buy furniture. So, in closing, the time for brands to plan is now to avoid paying an increased cost per point during key political ad weeks, and also to take a look at decreased viewership during the Summer Olympics. Advertisers should consider shifting local dollars into proven media channels that I mentioned before to keep their brands top of mind during those very, very busy, cluttered TV ad periods. Again, it's important to be top of mind. It's important to put promotion deals and offers out there because that really sways and motivates furniture shoppers. So, with that, once again, I'd like to thank Caprice and the NFA for allowing me the time to speak with you all today. Caprice?
Hey, well, thank you so much, Chip. We will conduct our Q&A portion right now. I'd like to encourage all attendees to submit any questions now and throughout the Q&A, and we will get to as many of them as we can. We did get a couple that came in throughout the presentation. Chip, are you ready for the first question?
I don't know if I'm ready, but go right ahead, please.
Um, well, we did get one that came in when you were talking about the political ads. We are not in a battleground state, but we're in a major metropolitan area. Should we still consider to scrap the TV ads? Do you think that we'll get an efficient ROI in this
So
medium?
yeah, so scrap if you're able to still secure your spot without a tremendous cost per point increase and you're not losing a lot of impressions that you thought you would have, then certainly that should be part of your media mix. This is really talking about folks that are dramatically impacted where they're going to be totally cut out of television and they can't afford to spend a real high cost per point. If you're in a major metropolitan area, consider that TV is not a battleground state. TV is still going to put TV ads with political backgrounds and components are still going to play a big role for because there's going to be a national component as well. I'm not in a battleground state. I live in Connecticut, but I still will see a good share of presidential national political ads. So again, to answer the question, if you do not get shut out and you're able to still secure spots that are attractive without a high cost per point, then certainly don't cut out television as a whole. Just have that as part of your ad mix.
Great. Okay. Now, when we were talking about the tax refunds and you were talking about offers really do attract, what are some offers do you see working the best in our industry to bring in
So
traffic?
yeah, so great question. I could speak to the hundreds of clients that we work in the category, and depending on what type of a retailer you are, whether it be a mid-scale, a higher end, or somewhere lower than all that, it depends on what fits your brand, right? So I would say the majority of ads that we see are product and price. Uh, certainly, coupons do not there's not a lot of couponing that I see in the furniture category. However, if you're in a position to do that, consumers love coupons. They think they're getting a deal. So whatever you promote as far as financing, special financing during that period, uh, a percentage off or a dollar off, those are the most popular offers I see. But again, anytime that you can educate a consumer to think that they're getting something of value, whether it be a special promotion or a deal, you guys know they're doing a lot of research out there. Have that as part of what goes into the decision process.
Perfect. And again, along the lines of promotion, how do you make a promotion about spending tax money not sound tacky?
So that's a great question. And I will say that many retailers don't even mention and tie it into tax refunds, right? So what they do is they just simply ramp up during those time periods that I mentioned, knowing that consumers are going to be looking out for promotion and destinations where they could look at ads, whether it be online, whether it be a print piece, whether it be broadcast. They're going to have their eyes open and their ears open to anything that's going to help them consider you as a retailer to make that purchase. So, uh, great question, and I know a lot of retailers don't even mention tax season. They just know that if they up the ante as far as their spend in that time period, that just it's normally going to correlate when folks get their refunds. So again, it's all for what you want to do, but that's what I've seen.
That's all about timing and not necessarily what your message is.
Correct.
Okay. Well, that looks like all of the questions that we got today. I do want to thank everyone that attended. And Chip, thank you so much for your statistics and your knowledge in this area and that you gave us today. Very much appreciate that. And I would like you to mark your calendar for our next webinar, which will be Wednesday, February 19th. And we'll be talking about, does your online experience match your in-store experience and how to make that happen? To read the description and register for this webinar, please visit our website at myhfa.org. Click on the Resources tab, then go to Webinars. And again, this entire webinar, including the question and answer portion, has been recorded and will be available to watch on demand by this time tomorrow. Everyone that has registered will receive an email from the Home Furnishings Association that tells you how to access the recording. If you do have any questions for the association or for CHIP, you can reach us at 1-800-422-3778 or through our website at myhfa.org. I thank you all and have a great day.
Thanks, everybody.